This is the first impression video of the recent Chinese drama 知否知否应是绿肥红瘦 The Story of Minglan. Hello, you're watching F-New-X, where a junkie on good storytelling shares their thoughts, knowledge, and occasional weird ideas on stories and how they're told. As the first video on this channel of 2019, let me just say Happy New Year first to everyone who is watching this video wherever you are in the world. Story of Minglan, 知否知否应是绿肥红瘦 aired on Christmas Day in China last year. So far it has aired about 18 episodes within China, and because the whole thing is well over 70 episodes, so I think this is a good number at this point to talk about first impression. This is one of the most highly anticipated Chinese dramas, I think, for 2018 for a lot of people, due to the reason that first, it's adapted from previously quite popular Chinese web novel. Then it is produced by 正午阳光, one of the best TV production companies these days in China. Then it has the lead featuring Zhao Yiliying and Feng Shaofeng, who are now officially married and expecting their kid. And also because of the accidental super popular second male lead Zhu Yilong, did it meet my expectation? I would say actually yes. It doesn't mean that I am super happy with its quality, but it's exactly as I expected it to be. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it is not. It depends on how you look at the situation. So first, the acting of the main lead. I think I am pretty happy, satisfied with the acting. I think 正午阳光 has a very good control of its casting processes. It understands who fits into what role well. So whenever there's 正午阳光 production, I almost never really worry about whether there will be good acting, because I know it will be reliable. All the supporting actors and actresses who plays the generation above and above are just so good. So sometimes I feel I like their scenes and their stories and whatever happens between them more than I love the main character's stories. Obviously, because in the early stage of this story, most of the interesting plot of the main characters still hasn't really happened yet. As for the main leads, I would really say Zhao Yiliying, Feng Shaofeng, and Zhu Yilong he plays the second leader because of his current super star status. People give that role more attention. I think they've all done a good job. I wouldn't say anybody is sort of outstandingly good, because of the restriction of their roles, and also because it's still in the early stage of the story, so we still haven't seen the most important development and pivotal moments and emotional sort of really heightened moments of those characters. And I want to talk about the story itself, what it is if you are not very familiar with this type of genre of literature and what it's based on, and its difference between, I think, the TV adaptation and the original novel. This is adapted from a novel that's written around 2012-13, and it's a long series of books. It's a quite long story. The original writer actually created this Sheng Minglan, this character, who is a time-traveled, spirited traveled person. So she's actually Yao Yiyi, that's her real name in the book, and she works at court. She's a secretary, and she got into a landslide accident and actually dies in contemporary time, and her spirit sort of travels back into a non-specific ancient period. That's, as the author says, mostly based on Ming-Qing dynasty. But because these days in China, you can't make dramas like that. You can't have 穿越. Like it's not gonna pass censorship because I guess it's superstition or it's not scientific, whatever reason. So they have to change the story to a real person who is actually born in that time as Sheng Minglan and growing up and blah blah blah. So there's sort of inherited problem where in the original story, because she travels back and realizes she's trapped in the 6-year-old concubine's daughter in a big family, and she has kind of no hope for her future. So she kind of gives up in the beginning, but then she realizes she has to do something for herself. And because of her knowledge, because of what she knows, right, as a contemporary, modern, sort of independent, well-educated, like gone through proper education person, she acts and she talks and she behaves in ways that are very different from that set period, which resulted in how her fate is sort of developed in that timeline. So that is due to the character setup, which does not exist in the TV adaptation. So they have to try to make sense on why she can still have the same sort of character arc as the original novel. So I think the scriptwriter did their best, but it's still not as convincing or logical or makes sense as much as the original book. So that's the first big difference. So because the book is based on 红楼梦, 红楼梦 is talking about people in their very young teenager years, mostly. And that's the norm of that society. People marry very early, like back then. So in the original book, a certain plots happened like when they are like under 10 years old. And the main characters are under 10 years old, literally. I think Minglan actually married very early in her teenager years to Gu Tingye, so almost half the age, or even more than half the age of the actual actors and actresses in this drama. And this is a common problem of the day, is if you want to actually be accurate to ancient periods people, you know, like they get married at 10, you know, like what can you do? And sometimes it does feel a little bit weird because Feng Shaofeng is like what, in his almost 40? He's almost close to 40 years old, and he's playing somebody who's supposed to be like, what, 15? And it is a bit, okay. Yeah, we just have to believe it, I guess. So that's one problem, but it's not the drama's problem. It's this whole genre has this problem. But also there's an essential difference, because I didn't read the whole book of the original novel, but parts of it actually, the beginning part, I actually read it chapter by chapter, about 30 chapters. I would say the original book really didn't care much about creating a standard TV adaptable story, because probably when she wrote it, she didn't care, right, about it ever being adapted. So she thinks more about language in literature that does not necessarily translate to visual storytelling. The book Minglan, or the book 知否, is a much more relaxed, slower. The conflicts are there. A lot of the conflicts that you see in the drama are based on the book, but it's written and told in ways that are much more relaxed and not so intentionally dramatized. And it's fitting into sort of the ancient time settings, people's values more, whereas in the drama you have a clear sense that the storytellers, they're trying to put more contemporary people's values in terms of gender equality, or you know what the female sort of, especially these days, right, you're trying to create this independent female role in that you can feel much more sort of the contemporary person's mentality and value, sort of trying to impose that onto this story, whereas in the original book it really is much more realistic in terms of if you are actually trapped in that body and in that society and what you can and cannot do. There's very little space for anyone to maneuver, and there are a lot of choices you're making are completely based on let's just survive and live a life relatively in peace, not trying to carry that big ideas on you. So I think there is actually that undertone of the two things are quite different. If somebody has been a book fan, they probably wouldn't be 100% sort of in love with the adaptation, just because there is a very subtle but very clear different sense of how the story is told. But then if you haven't read the book, you probably can just forget about that and just enjoy the drama, and that might be easier for the people who actually never read the book. One final thing I want to talk about this drama that I am not 100% happy is its general visual style. First, I think cinematography is not Zheng Wu's best. I think this year, in 2018, I mean, all their energy and their best resources, the best team, everybody went into like a flowing river. Because of that, and Minglan is filmed almost at the same time, I have the strong sense that it's not their 18, right, in everything to produce 知否, resulting in not that their cinematography or anything visual style or design is bad, it's just nothing stands out as like brilliantly or well done. I particularly don't like the costume style because their materiality is not very good. There's too much synthetic fabric in the drama that clearly is not, you know, realistic to any period. Also, I don't quite like color grading lighting of this drama. They're trying to go with that yellowish tone where everything is toned down a bit. There's no vibrant color, kind of trying to imitate ancient Chinese silk scroll painting. I mean, I understand, like if you make a small, or even if you make a film with that very clear style, I can understand. But I think for dramas, the problem is you have 70 episodes, right? And you continue look at something that is like, I wish you can just give me a little bit more contrast, a little bit more sharpness, a little bit more color. It becomes a visually very, very hypnotizing feeling that I am not a fan of. Also, I think the lighting, they said whenever it's indoor and during the night or whatever, they lit everything with pure real candles. There's no artificial like lights. It's all candle lights, right? Hundreds and hundreds of candles. I don't think you need to go that far. I understand trying to be realistic to light, but you can do that to an extent, and you can use a little bit, like actually existing technologies to help you, because you want to present something on screen that feels authentic. It's reasonable that there is a light source, there's candles, so the light is on this person's face, but you can actually fill that light with artificial light to make it actually look better on screen. The thing with all the night scenes are, I can't see where everything is. I feel like it's so low contrast, so yellow, and like I want to fall asleep. That's just the thing. If I'm watching a drama during the day, there's too much light in the room, like I can't see anything. Like I have to close the blinds to watch this drama, and I'm not 100% actually a fan of that. Even like use very little reflector. I think they do use it for certain things, but certain things it's just not enough. Like you have one side that is really bright and one side that is really dark. And it's not flattering for certain actor and actresses' facial feature or even their age or the skin condition, right? Certain times you really should just be more flattering to fit them into the roles better. And also the music of this drama is so funny. It is such a reprised version of Nirvana Fire series, the 1 and 2. If you are a fan of those two dramas, if you've watched them more than once, if you are very sensitive to drama OST, it is so easy to hear the underneath Nirvana tunes in知否, like throughout the whole thing. That there are different tunes that you've heard in OST that are just like, that's taken from Nirvana Fire's that song. They just changed it a little bit. It's the same thing, okay? I'm not a music major, but I can tell. So if you actually study music, it will be so obvious to you that it is in a way self-plagiarizing. Not a huge fan of that. But maybe because they're, I don't know, rushed in production, maybe they don't have that much budget for music or whatever, and maybe they think it fits, so let's just use it, whatever. This drama will air into February, I think, so I'll see what happens. There's still well over a month's time for this drama to air and stories to develop. So thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.